so much for coming. My name is Jim Karolski. I'm the Community Services Director for the City of Stuart. And today is a very special day as we put more art in Stuart.
Yeah. I like that.
Vice Mayor said I stole her phrase, but you know what? That's gonna be the theme. We're putting the art in Stuart. The concept for the Florida Waterbirds collection started as a part of the city centennial. That year also marked what we all remember as the lost summer. We had freshwater releases that ruined our summer, and we'll never forget that. And it only was paralleled by what we experienced this last summer as well, with our waters actually turned into algae blooms. I'm sharing this story with you for a purpose. We had lots of choices when we decided to go ahead and actually put art on Colorado Avenue. We selected the Florida Waterbirds specifically so that we could remind everybody as they're entering into the city of Stuart that they're entering into a community that has an environmentally conscious community. It's very, very important to us. There's also some symbolism as it relates to the great blue herons that we have here as well. It's very personal to me. Since Colorado was finished, we actually brought the city together in a special way as well. And to me, the three great blue herons represents the three business districts coming together in unison. The US 1 corridor, Historic Downtown, as well as Historic East Stuart. So there's a lot of symbolism with this whole project. We just didn't pick waterbirds randomly. During phase one, you'll remember that we dedicated about a year ago the Dancing Greater Sandhill Crane, which was donated by the Women Supporting the Arts, which is located right in the median way as we enter into the city of Stuart. Skimming the Waves, which is the Pelican that was donated by Tom and Polly Campeni. Wading Mangroves, which is the Roseate Spoonbill, which is donated by Dr. Henry and Marianne Gans. The American Legacy Eagle, which is located in Kiwanis Park. That was donated to us by Philip Bush of Southern Eagle Distributing. And also the Osprey Pear, which is found in Kiwanis Park. That one's a little tucked away. I think it really blends with the environment, so you'll have to make sure that you go see that one. And then, of course, today we're going to be dedicating what's referred to as 3 Heron Monument. That's the official name. And you'll see this plaque right here will be mounted on the water feature. This afternoon you're going to hear from a host of civic leaders. We're also combining this with an art and history tour at the very end of the evening, in which we're going to have our tram. So if you'd like to join us on that, we'll have our inaugural tram, and the City of Stuart's tourism division is going to be putting together an art and history tour, kind of like the Conch train in Key West. So with that, I would like to introduce to you our mayor, Mayor Geoffrey Crosskoff.
Thank you. Well, welcome. What a Chamber of Commerce day. If you could stand for a moment before the Pledge of Allegiance and have a moment of thoughtfulness for all of our men in uniform, be they domestic or internationally assigned. They provide us the protection that affords us the ability to discuss and have great events like this in America. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a couple of folks here that are really distinguished. Thank you. Former city attorney and member of the Florida legislature in the 1960s, Bill Scott. Welcome. And from Gail, Representative Gail Harrell's office, Karen Sweeney. Karen, thank you so much. This is a perfect example of a public-private partnership, one of my favorite things in Stuart to work on, although there are many who pulled this Waterbird item together. It really has been an effort by every single employee, member of the community. It's excellence in how a community pulls together. The true test of it is in getting things done is not only the manpower, but it is the finances go along with it. And this public-private partnership, through the donations, 65% of the total project donated, and you will hear from CapTech has been one of the donors, but Geoffrey Smith, his wife Alita, and the Smith family, the very large donor, and then our CRA fund pulled in 35 cents on the balance, 35% on the balance. What a wonderful and remarkable way of pulling an entire community together, both in manpower and finances, for such a great accomplishment. And we'd like to now move on, Jim. I believe Paul. Thank you.
This morning, I'm reminded of another morning back in December 2009. It was a Saturday, and when my wife and I stood a few hundred feet up the road trying to cross Colorado Avenue, I took Paula's hand and we ran first to the middle of the road and stood on the double yellow line, waiting for a break in the traffic. I remember thinking how crazy and dangerous it was to cross 4 lanes of fairly heavy speeding traffic with no safety island, and how much I wanted to do something to make that change. However, I don't take much credit for the beauty and the functionality of this street, but there are many here today who can take credit for both its functionality and its beauty. I think of Joe Capper from CapTech and the entire CapTech team, and Sam Emerson, our Public Works Director, both of who had a hand in directing the design of the road, and of Teresa Lamar Sarno, who obtained grants to fund the road, of Annie McMillan and Julie Priest, volunteers who brought famous urban planner Dan Burton to town to show how a road diet, including a roundabout, this roundabout, could actually function better than 4 lanes of traffic. I think of Stuart Main Street and Downtown Business Association who helped support the effort. And of course, I want to thank those who worked most recently to bring us here today. CapTech Engineering, again, who designed the roundabout, Wojciech and Associates, TRC Worldwide Engineering, True Stone Masonry, you see their work before you, Sunshine Land Design, and Forward Electric and Air Conditioning. So thanks to all of them for making this actually a reality. Now it's my honor to present Paula Nicoletti, who has a few words to add.
Thank you very much for being here and having me speak. I just wanted to share with you that a dream really can come true if you decide you're going to make it happen. And I didn't know Geoffrey Smith, but I said to Paul, I think I'm going to make an appointment to see Geoffrey, and let's talk about what we can do on Colorado Avenue to make it spectacular. What kind of entrance could we have? And as a result of that, the majestic Waterbirds found their home here. Through the generosity of the people Jim mentioned, groups, families, and individuals, as well as companies. And I don't think any of us will forget the day the Clydesdales came. I just think it was the most spectacular thing I've ever seen. But there was something missing. We needed a graceful and elegant fountain to provide a unique entranceway to welcome all of those that come to our city. Geoffrey and Alita and their family today made an incredible donation to each of us, as well as those that will follow us. And it is a lovely monument to who they are. Thank you so much for sharing your talent with us, Geoffrey. And we are so grateful to you, Alita, and all of your children.
Our next speaker is Nancy Turrell, Executive Director of the Arts Council of Martin County.
Good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here. As I was thinking, listening to Paula and Paul and Mayor Krauskopf talk, I was thinking it's been a passion of the Arts Council for the last 20 years, since 1997, to make sure there was public art in our broader community, not just in the city of Stuart, but in the county of Martin as well. And that's when the county commissioners signed a public art ordinance to start putting aside money and installing public art throughout our community. And it's one of those important things that says a lot about what the community cares about. And art brings pride, it brings significance, and it brings meaning to people. You know, how many times have you driven through Geoffrey's sailfish sculpture in downtown and seen people there taking their selfies now, or before that, regular photographs as their memory of being in the city of Stuart. And to me, that's what art brings to the community through its pride, and it says who we are to people when they leave here. So we couldn't be happier to be a part of this project and all public art in this community. We've recently received a couple of donations for new sculptures that'll help to mark the old Courthouse Cultural Center as a place to come and enjoy the art. So feel free to come and see those. One's installed, the other's waiting. And of course, we always have gallery exhibitions in there as well for art that can't withstand the outside air, but certainly is there to be enjoyed. So I congratulate the City of Stuart today for their dedication, commitment to excellence and to public art, and of course to our wonderful hometown sculptor, Geoffrey Smith, who was recently recognized by the Arts Council with the Outstanding Visual Artist Award at the Martys on October 25th. We couldn't be happier that Geoffrey chose to make this community his home, and that the beloved John Payson helped to bring him here, and now is part of the long legacy of art in this community. Thank you.
Really needs no introduction, but I'll introduce her anyways. Alice Luckhart, our local historian.
Good morning, everybody. What a gorgeous morning to recognize our history and our art in this city. Since I do tend to specialize in history, I want to ask you a couple of questions, see who knows the answers. Do you know where the former president Grover Cleveland purchased property in Stuart and possibly was going to build a home there? Yeah. And then we have the famed Riverwalk and stage area today. Do you know what the building that was there at one time that was moved over a block and is still there today? There's a question. Then we have our notorious Ashley gang who robbed the Stuart Bank. They didn't rob it once, they robbed it twice. No, want to do it again. Do you know which banks and which areas those were? Then we have Stuart's first payphone. Do you know where that was located? Do you know where the 1913 Stuart passenger train depot was located? Then, here's one, Lake Janet. How many know where Lake Janet is and what it's called today? There's a home, a building on Albany Avenue that survived a horrible fire, January 1st, 1960. Nearly wiped out every other building around it, except that building is still standing today. It did survive. Then there's a church building that was located right along the railroad tracks. Our first church building had a tall steeple on it. And the idea behind it, being right along the railroad tracks with a tall steeple, was that any passengers driving along, they'd see that steeple, they'd know this was a civilized area, it had a church. So that building still exists, not by the train station or the tracks anymore, but it still exists. These are just some of the fascinating historic stories that we have about places and people and events that make up our whole history. Short that it may be, but it still is part of our history. A lot of these buildings don't exist anymore, many of them do, and that's what we're trying to show to you. We're combining art and history. There have been now 5 7-foot sailfish statues built in different locations through Stuart each representing some historic event or group of events in that location. There is embedded on them the history and vintage photographs. So you get to see when it talks about a certain place, what did it look like back then. These are scattered all over. And these will be a great combination of history and art. I have the honor also to give you the statement from Robin Hicks Nunley, who was the one who came up with this whole idea of these sailfish statues combining art and history. She's the Red Cross director now in a meeting, so she could not attend. But this is her thoughts. The real inspiration for the markers came from the realization that some of our most historic moments and sites are not in a museum, sorry Mary, but rather hiding in plain sight. The concept of the markers was to couple artistic piece with general interests and draw people to that spot, much like the turtles that Stuart once had a long time ago in art form, and to show the important history that existed in that location. It helps promote historic preservation, and once people know that, they learn about the historic significance of that location and what took place, and they're more aware and ready to help preserve it if anything should happen to it. We have a very rich history, and it's still all around us. We just have to look. And Robin wants to thank also those supporters that helped get this started. One was Nancy. We have Susan O'Rourke also, and Mike Kirkhart, who designed the sailfish design. So we have a lot of good sponsors that came to the plate, stepped up, and helped donate money so that these sailfish could be built and the plaques put on them. We have the Public Art Board, who helped underwrite a lot of this, the city commissioners, also have been very supportive, and Stuart Main Street. And this is Robin. She said she wanted to thank me also for the history that I did on researching these. So I hope the residents and the visitors alike will enjoy about the history, about this town, what it has to offer, and spark their curiosity and interest in Stuart. Sincerely, Robin. Thank you, everyone.
Before I introduce our guest of honor, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned the benevolence of Martin County Dry Cleaners here that allowed us to use their space. So, I can tell you, I'm going to probably use it because I'm sweating right through this shirt. I'm probably going to drop it off when I'm done here. So, Geoffrey Smith, you've all heard about him. Maybe some of you have met him, maybe some of you haven't. He's a legacy. He's really a very elusive artist, but he has been so benevolent when it comes to the city of Stuart. As a matter of fact, it's an honor being able to have someone of his caliber and his talent living right here amongst us. As you drive down, his fingerprints are all over our city, and if you haven't met him, you're going to get an opportunity of meeting him right now. While we're doing this as well, when Geoffrey is finished, I'm going to ask for Geoffrey to go ahead and give us a signal of saying 1, 2, 3, and our Public Works Department is going to provide a surprise for our dedication. Geoffrey, come on up.
First of all, I apologize for my tardiness. We had a truck come up to the studio just as I was pulling out, and I had to unload with the forklift. So, but it's great to be here. The last dedication we had, I was up at the foundry finishing the big Everglades gator, and now I showed up late. The Birds in Colorado was founded when Paula Nicolay came to my studio. And then she's better, I think, than I am delegating. She put Jim Karolski on it, and Jim came to the studio and thought it was real simple. We're going to put 6 birds on Colorado, and we'll get 6 people to pay for them, and it'll be well. It was a lot of work and a lot by. I know I got to make it a quick speech, so I thank everybody, but I'm not going to do my name. So that was a few years ago. Many people donated and contributed to the project. I wish to thank them all, the city officials, the engineers, the workers. It's been a ton of work, and we're here today, and it's all done. So thank you there. We live in a very special and unique place called Stuart. What makes Stuart so great here are the people. Over the last 20 years, I've called Stuart home. I've forged many friendships with the most wonderful people. I've raised my family here and created a wonderful life. Like the birds, many of our people are very migratory, only wintering here. And like the birds, we're also very territorial. Where we roost at night, or where we grab a bite to eat along the river, like the osprey. As our children grow up, I want them to always know Stuart as their home. As they're sure to travel far and wide, they will return home like the sea turtles that nest on the beach. Alita and I are dedicating the sculpture to our children. Young Geoffrey's already off in college. Mark is leaving for college this fall. Grant's already away studying in Boston, and Carolyn and Hannah are still in the nest. Man has created art as one of his first forms of communication. Before the spoken language, art has been our communication. The cave paintings in France were essential to our species' survival. I have been an artist my entire life. It has been a blessing, a struggle, filled with all the drama, pain, and joy of many of my famous mentors and predecessors. I believe we all strive to be artists, and it is a noble and essential endeavor. I am truly thankful to Stuart for providing the environment to raise my family and for giving me the opportunity to beautify the city with my art. For that, I'm truly grateful. Almost over. We live in a very fast-paced world. Observation of nature takes time, as does the creation of art, a lifetime in fact. Please take the time to view the beautiful sculptures, but better yet, see my birds are on cue. Look up from your smartphones and view the real birds. They are never very far from us, as they too are an essential part of our community. Beauty is a sensation and therefore different for each of you. Beauty is the currency of my art. To me, the birds on Colorado symbolize our vibrant town with beauty and and natural harmony. A lot of the cars stay slow. And a healthy environment, provided we clean the river. And in other words, peace, hope, and love. Thank you.
We're going to get Geoffrey to go ahead and give us a count of 1, 2, and 3, and our official dedication will happen.
1, 2, 3. Woo!